What's up, guys? It's Dylan here at Mad Vapes of Boone, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the most common questions people come into the store asking: why is my tank leaking? Well, there are a ton of reasons that can be the case. Just about every tank at some point will leak a little bit on you, some more than others. Today we're going to talk about all the different reasons why that could be happening to you and what ways you can do to mitigate that. So the first and probably the obvious one that seems to be the most common reason is that you just have a bad coil. So either you've had the coil in there too long, all these coils are factory made for the most part, and so some of them, the actual O-rings that prevent it from leaking are a little bit loose. Even in the tank itself, it just means you might have to replace them. It's relatively rare, but it does happen. If you vape on a coil long enough, the actual cotton in the coil will get burnt, in which case it can no longer hold juice, and that juice only has one place to go, down through your tank. So that's the first reason. A second one that's maybe not so well known is air pressure. So here in Boone, we live in the mountains. And if you're going down the mountain, the air pressure is going to go up. Well, basically what that means is that you're going to have more air sitting on top of you, which means that it's going to push your juice down through your coil. And when that happens, you get some of the juice that has gathered at the bottom of the coil and then pushes through that extra O-ring, causing your tank to leak. It's relatively rare, but if you're driving down the mountain, it can happen. It has happened before. Another one is temperature. This one's also very common. So if you're in a very hot place, this is why we tell people don't leave your vape in your car. The juice will actually thin out, and when it thins out, it goes through your tank. It's going to start leaking. This doesn't happen for every tank, but for a lot of them it does. Another thing is if your tank gets too cold. So if your tank is getting real cold, if you have the AC on blast and it's 66 degrees in your house, what's actually going to end up happening is that those O-rings in your actual tank and on your coil are going to contract. And when that happens, there's an opening for juice to get through, and you can have some leakage. So for people that have like an overhead fan on at night, that can happen all the time. I've certainly seen that happen with my tanks. It's not going to harm the device, not going to harm the tank. It just means you have a mess to clean up in the morning. Another one, this one I recently saw a customer come in with, is accidentally setting your device to temperature control. Most people, I would say, would catch this, but it does happen every now and then, and if you're not aware of necessarily how your device works, this can absolutely happen. Sometimes when you're trying to click your device off, it's actually very similar to switching it over to temperature control, which is designed for rebuildable devices and not necessarily a tank. And when you do that, you're not putting the right amount of power through your coil. And that can cause your tank to leak because the coil can become oversaturated. And when that ends up happening, once again, the juice only has one place to go, but down. And then another one I would say is, and this happens to me all the time, it's just not screwing in your coils all the way. Give it a good twist on the tank. Make sure you're not twisting your coils too hard. You don't want to shred the threading on your coils. That will also cause your tank to leak and require you to get a new coil, and your coil can get stuck in the device, and you don't want that to happen. But yeah, those are the most common reasons why your tank might be leaking. The best thing that you can do is make sure that you're not leaving your vape in a hot car, that if you're going to be letting it sit for a while, that it's at room temperature and not too cold, not too hot. On that note, actually, if a room is too cold, this is very rare, but we have seen it happen before, is that if a room is too cold and then you go into a hot place, it can actually cause your glass to break, or at least crack. It is very rare, it doesn't happen very often, but just keep that in mind. And make sure you're taking care of your coils and that you're not chain vaping them too much, because if you chain vape a vaporizer for too long, it will heat up the tank itself, causing the juice to thin out, which will cause your tank to leak. It's going to happen. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys for today. If you have any more questions, please feel free to let us know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. We're always here. And you guys have a good day.